Did you miss me? Come back. It's video 2. Can't wait till we do video 4, 8, 10, 16. Okay. Hi everybody. It's Phoenix again. And first of all, let me say this. Thank you so much for all the love. I got so much more love than I thought that I was gonna get, just with the amount of people that even just subscribed, and especially the amount of people that viewed the video and that like interacted and was giving me like comments and suggestions on like other platforms that I could even possibly use. I think I'm drinking out of a cup that still has soap in it. Oh no. Since I am up, you can't see that I'm wearing a crop top. Crop. I'm gonna be just like them ducks on the Dawn commercials, Downy, whoever. Just me and the soap, because I'm not washing out that glass again. Hello. So thank you for all of that love that you gave me. And I'm very excited to be back here on this day. I'm getting out this video today. Actually, there may be 2 things I put out today. There's some things that went on in the media that I'll touch about later that popped up on my feed today. And I was scrolling online, just on Safari, and saw some stuff happen. And I may want to do a commentary or take or 2 about it. I actually thought about changing today's topic video that I wanted to talk about because of that. But I think I'm going to let that just be for right now. Because today we're gonna talk about something that's really been on my mind lately. We're gonna talk about anger, suppression, and coming into power because of it, specifically between the difference between men and women. And I am using those 2 binaries right now to talk about that. Now, let me establish this first. I am a male presenting person. I am gender fluid, so I experience male energy, and I love and honor that part of myself and that energy. I love it. And I consider, I experience energies of all genders and people and entities and beings and all of creation, right? And I do want to say this because I think it's important whenever you're making a video, a podcast, a journal, a essay, a movie, a film, a theater, a show. I don't care what it is. I don't care if you're making it for one person. I don't care if you're making it, especially if you're making it for 1 billion people in the entire world and platform and community to see, whether you're picking up your 5-year-old to go to a movie or whether you are presenting this in front of the Academy Awards. I believe that if you're going to make a story, if you're going to share an opinion on a public platform surrounding specific groups of people, races, demographics, genders, X, Y, and Z, and you're trying to educate or just share your opinion, share your thoughts, share your philosophies, your understandings, I believe, especially if you're telling stories and creating, like on the pictures, I believe that it is important for you to have those same people at the table working on your set, working with you in some way, because you need that opinion, you need that lived experience, right? Something that I said that I wrote down recently actually is that I experience an energy of a lot of things, and I can share my opinions, my thoughts, my philosophies, my understandings, my things, that I'm right about, that I'm gonna grow with, that I can elevate with, even things that I may say and then wake up 5 years from now and be like, oh, you was wrong about that, right? But walking this earth in a body, in a female body versus in a male body versus a whatever type of body, the experience that you have and the way that that shapes your perspective, that way that just shapes your journey, that's something that's individual to you and your incarnation at that time. That's something that's specific to you, right? And so, I can have all of these thoughts and all of these philosophies, but at the same time, I grew up in a male body having an experience, a male experience, a queer male experience, and I can add all types of things there, but I do want to make that distinction because that's important to me, that distinction is made, especially knowing that there's other women and people who, there's other women, there's all types of people who watch this video, no matter what you identify as. And it's important that that distinction is made at all times. And I would love to hear from everyone, but especially the other women and men, because we're talking about men too, but especially the other women in my comments and who watch this video, and their own opinions and their own thoughts about this specifically, and take time as well to highlight those voices and those opinions, because I'm here to just share, but I'm also here to learn. And so I want to talk about that. But now that we have that, you know, established, why are women so angry? Why are men so angry, right? And why do you think, where do you think there's a difference, or do you think it's the same? And where that anger comes from? I was thinking about movies the other day and the trope of like the badass feminine woman, right? Who you can think of any trope. She's the spy with the cleavage showing in her push-up bra and all leather, and the blonde bob, and the cigarette, and the gun on her hip, and or the thing on her hip, and who's gonna, you know, con all the men. She's the superhero. She's Halle Berry in X-Men. She's Angelina Jolie on the TV screen. She's the powerful intellectual woman. She's Viola Davis. She's the woman who's overcome survival and struggle. She is I, Tanya. She's the woman who owns her power, right? And owns that rage. I think that feminine rage is something that is so specific and so unique. There's a quote by a civil rights activist, I think it was Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, I could be wrong, who said that the most disrespected person in America is the black woman. I think I agree on that. When you look at movies, tropes in the media, stereotypes, right? All types of things that you see that's put on a screen. I think that feminine rage, feminine authenticity, feminine power, when you have to break through a litany of things that have sort of suppressed yourself. And people have taken that and spun that, right? Women are unstable. Women, they don't know how to control their emotions. They go off on a handshake, go off on a hatchet. They're wild, right? But where does that come from? Are women naturally just have been plopped on this earth in a way where they are just programmed to just be all the time, right? Is that something that's inherent to women? Or does that birth of power, does that birth of creative energy come out of a place of deeper suppression? Come from a place of when you are pushed to the borderlines of your consciousness by the world, by society, by other men, and we're getting deeper on this, right? Sit still. When you're pushed to the brinks of your inner workings of your mind, and you're channeling something that you can't contain because you've been taught to contain it. You've been put under the social conditioning. You've been put under and we're gonna get into it, so let me stop there. But you've been put under so much that now is coming out of you. Are you as a woman more naturally emotional, reactive? Or are you channeling and expressing something that you never had the consciousness or the freedom or the safety or the conditioning, the outlet, the route, the help, the parenting, the support, the spouse, the American system, the political system, the structure, the history, to allow you to be in flow with, to allow you to freely express, right? There's this power. You see it on movies, you read it in books, art. There's a power to feminine rage, to feminine power, to feminine expression that's different in the way that we see it on television and in those same books. And this is not all in things. I'm not saying that there aren't writers and producers and creators and actual people living authentic lives that don't exist in every single realm across all ways. I am a living example of it. But what I will say is we're targeting some of the big highlighting points, right? We leave room on this channel for all the rainbows and all the grayscales and all the colors of in-betweens. Nothing is an all thing unless we're having a conversation where we're talking about the all thing. Not getting into that right now, right? But men in media and TV shows and in books and all that, right? We've seen popularly their power come from that rage be birthed through a male character, through a male persona in a completely different way. And the reason why I'm comparing the actual lives of people to pictures and movies and art and film is because that's what art is, right? You don't get movies without lived experience. You don't get books without lived experience. You don't get art without lived experience. You don't get a cookbook. You don't get a business. You don't get an idea. You don't get a job. You don't get anything. You don't get creation on any level, a podcast, a song, a book, without lived experience, right? So these stories and these tropes and these ideas, whether there's something that Hollywood is cheaply just producing and writing down in a book in order to make a quick check because it's been done 10 times before, or whether it's somebody coming up with a genius idea because, oh my God, look at the lived experience of the people around me and history that I've gone through, that I'm seeing, that I'm witnessing, whether it is just an idea birthed from creation, that is still somebody else lived experience, right? Think deeper. Okay, so I'm not using these two things as some things that are completely separate. They are very intertwined. They are very much one. They are real. Art and the way that we view it, see it, make it, ingest it, and the lived experience of daily people walking down the street. I'm not using those two things separately. There's a million ways that they intertwine. There's a million ways for you to get there, but they are one, period. A personal philosophy of mine that is always evolving as an artist. So men, you know, I'm thinking about right now the man who has been kicked down, who's been beat down by the man, and he's been laid off from work, and Jesus Christ, I gotta get a job. Laura's gonna be mad at me. I got kids, man. I got kids, Mike. I gotta show up for him. I gotta do something. That silent anger, that silent transformation until that rage is birthed, where that man is now walking in a job and slapping down his resume. That man is now in an erotic way, getting back his pleasure and his stamina with his wife. Insert a big, beautiful scene of this man who's been stressed out and couldn't get it on for the last 6 months for his wife, who's been complaining about it to her friends, and now he can go in there on that big, beautiful scene and make love to her, right? Insert the man who his daughter has been watching him flail out, and he's internally, his pride is being hurt as a man of that structure of power, and now it's being birthed in this rage. Insert the men in the 70s and 80s walking down Wall Street because, you know, they're the big stockbrokers, and insert the silent man who's the spy who has to rescue his wife on a covert mission, who can jump from planes, and the way that we've seen power and rage across a lot of different spectrums of media. In one way, it's birthed from the same place, right? And once again, these are people's authentic stories and lives. Don't forget that. And I hope that you guys understand that. If you would like me to make a video specifically about that, specifically art and authenticity in lives and the way that that is one, that's something we'll talk a lot about on this channel. Please let me know. But in a way, it comes from sort of the same place, right? Suppression. stereotypes, prejudice, ideology that's been forced upon you, ideology that you believe about yourself. Life within general, circumstances that you feel that you are unprepared for, the own journey of living that you signed up for, outside circumstances that are pushing you on the brinks of what your mind is telling you, the energy that your experience is telling you, you must be and you must fit into until you can't take it anymore. And then that rage of energy kicks up within you and then you burst, you crack, you break down, you make the next move, you pick yourself up off the ground and scoop yourself up and you're like, I'm not letting life get me down. I'm about to step into a better version, a more evolved version of who I am. So in a way, it comes from the same place, but the way that we have seen it play out differently between men and women in our lives and on the pictures, the screens, the books, the journal, the text, etc., that applies every time I say this, is differently. And it's because the way that men and women have been treated, and I'm going to talk about America for right now, and I'm going to talk about in a historical context. Let's take it back to, let's say, medieval Salem days. The way that ideology and the way that we relate to power is the highlight here. The way that we relate to power and in the forefront of our minds assign power to men and women individually, those two binaries specifically. The way that we assign power to those two things are different. Because for women, that power has had to come in a multitude of vastness, in all types of vastness, right? A reclamation of power, of going back to the roots of what you know that you inherently are, power, a creatrix, universal, a being, a mother, an existence, something that goes beyond motherhood, something that embraces motherhood. And I'm not using motherhood to just talk about the birth of a baby. I'm using motherhood to talk about creation, divine creation. Everybody has that in us if you want to get into my own philosophies, but a reclamation of power. The woman who sits on a podium in front of a panelist to talk about and encourage going back to your roots of what it is that you know. Power with women. Power in spite of the way that America, the way that ideology, the way that men have conditioned women into mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically disconnected from power. And the way that men have conditioned women that have led them to condition other women, which have led them to condition men into false ideologies regarding their own power. While men, it's been, you are inherently powerful. Now, there's still its cons and its negativities and its harms, right? Because you are a man and because you're supposed to be more powerful, you have to X, Y, and Z. We could talk about homophobia. We could talk about coded forms of misogyny that are just get translated into homophobia. There's a lot of beautiful things that we could talk about here. A lot of things that are very purposefully, I believe, on this earth and in our systems for a reason. But once again, not that conversation. But it's an ideology that gets passed down that men, you're already here. Women, you're here. You're beautiful, you're pretty, you're blonde, you got a nice rack. Sure, you're smart, you went to college, you got a couple of degrees. You know, you had a couple of children and you still did the career. Oh, she's the sassy one. She can stand up for herself in front of a room full of boys. Do you see what I'm talking about? Do you see the difference? Do you see the difference between where the power has come from? So much of women's power has had to come, a birth of it, it's natural, it's beautiful, but almost retaliatory to the way that they have been conditioned by men, by our governments, by our systems to be from their power. While men, it's been a lesson that, oh, you inherently are. Now, where does the conditioning come in that forces you to step into this masculine, hyper masculine idea of what power is? And when women are here and men are here, when a man isn't able to because when a woman is here, it's you can be vulnerable. You can put your power down now. You can put down the briefcase, and you can let someone hold you, and you can be soft. You can be vulnerable. You can accept that you need help. It's a beautiful thing, or it's a no, you need to fight against that because they already think that you're this. They already think about you like this because you're a woman. So you need to fight against. There's a million different things, right? So many million different things that we can't cover. We couldn't cover them in 20 videos if we wanted to, right? But when you're down here, it's that now you're down here. But how does that man on that TV screen reclaim his power? He gets up. You very rarely see him get up and go to therapies. Times are changing. This is not an if and then and an all together statement. This is a overall general. Once again, we're just highlighting some points, right? You don't see that man get up and go to therapy. You see that man get up and go out and start making, he has his mojo back. You see that. Boys don't cry. It's 12:07. I have a non-sponsored cookie that I'll be divulging into while we're on. Ooh. I know my teeth are probably gonna be black. Boys don't cry. Where does that come from? Okay. Why don't boys cry? Why? Why can't 4-year-old Timmy cry? Why? Because boys need to be tougher. Okay. Cool. Fine. What else do boys need to do to be tough? It's dirt. Sharon, wipe it off. He's fine. It's just a little dirt in the cut. He's fine. What else? Wear plaid. Let's hit something super specific, targeted, and stereotypical. He needs to make more money than his spouse. Right? What else? Give them to me. Come on. Keep them going. I don't care. I don't know. Anything, right? He should be playing football or something, Once again, times are changed, things are changing. We're going through history right now, right? He needs to put that boy in football. How you got him doing band? I don't know. It's a general requirement, Dad. Everybody has to take band. Okay, but worry about that later. Go to practice. I don't know. I don't know what your dad does. I'm not your father. Boys have to do that to be tough. We have to toughen them up. I was told that growing up. Toughen up. Gotta get tougher. Gotta get some thicker skin. Gotta whatever, My grandfather, my uncle would, and I enjoyed it. I did. But would take me into the woods, and once again, I don't know what I can say on YouTube, but, animals and cans, and think about what you would do with animals and cans and random blocks of wood and stuff like that in the middle of the woods, right? Where you probably shouldn't have other people around, and you probably need some safety gear to have, and you should be more conscientious, and probably some practice, Think about stuff like that, right? Toughen them up. Don't cry so much. Why are you whining so much? You need to toughen up. I got told all the time, put some bass in your voice. You're a man. Put some bass in your voice. You sound too feminine. Okay. I sound too feminine. Wait. Okay. so I'm a boy, so I need to, this is the way that I need to like sort of embrace my power and like my confidence within myself, right? Because power is attached to everything, right? My confidence, my belief, my ideology, the way that I think about myself and my own like insecurities and my mind and the way that I walk, the way that I talk, the way I feel confident talking to girls or talking to boys whenever I step into the room, the way that I feel when I apply to this job interview, the way that I feel as an artist when I'm putting my work on a screen, the way that I feel in my own skin when I'm laying down in a room and I'm crying under the covers because I can't do that in public in front of people and nobody can watch me. And the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And I don't want to show this out to my family. And Jesus Christ, my family isn't going to like this. And I got them. I feel like I'm about to break so many cycles that's going on in my family and whatever. This is how I'm supposed to be as a boy. But it's also that way. I look tough and I don't look feminine. But it's okay for girls to cry and it's okay for girls to be sensitive, and it's okay for girls to wear a skirt, but I need to wear plaid, and the girls aren't coming out to the woods to do the things that I'm supposed to be doing right now in the family. And it's okay for the girls to gossip, but boys aren't supposed to gossip because that's messy. That's a thing that girls does. So wait a minute, why is all the things that I'm being told to step into that are things like tough, powerful, confident, good, clean, successful, associated with male characteristics, and all the opposite things are associated with women? But not only is it okay, we encourage our girls to do that. But we don't leave out the fact that we're associating it with a negative connotation. Because if power means you shove down those emotions and you step into the power as a man, but you're embracing for girls to be emotional, but you're associating power with men and you're associating power with not having that sort of emotion, then why would you encourage women to do something or be a certain type of way, but then assign them a definition with that gives them an ideology that they are less powerful or that they're too emotional? You see how it goes? You see how it's all a structure? You see how ideology gets taught down to genders, and not only do they tell you certain ways to be based off of your personage and who you are in your being, they then turn around and assign definitions, beliefs, perspectives in American culture, in American society, and they do it in all societies, but as a wife, as a husband, as a boy, as a girl, as a gay person, as a queer, as a trans person, as a whatever type of person, they then thereby put on, they put lenses on you as far as what does any of these things mean? What does it mean that I'm on here sitting with earrings on? What does it mean today that I'm wearing a crop top? What does it mean that I ate a cookie on a screen? Is that professional as me as an artist to be on YouTube right now, eating a cookie in front of you guys and drinking water, and the fact that I may not edit some of this because I like some of my content to be more raw? What does it mean about me that I'm not making my voice deep for you guys? What does it mean that my locks are not freshly twisted and not freshly done, and you can see my roots? I don't have a fresh haircut on right now. What does it mean that I have piercings? What does that mean? What does it mean for me as a boy that my nails aren't cut? What does that mean? Come on, that's popular, right? What does it mean as a gay girl and your nails stay cut, right? Huh? What do all of these little things in our culture mean that we create for ourselves, but also that people create and assign to us in our brain in the way that we think of them? So when we identify somebody sitting next to us, we already have a million things in our mind going, right. But you know what we're really doing? We're projecting. Because what is it that we've been taught about ourselves that when nobody's around, we look in the mirror and we look at ourselves and go, Then we go outside and look at somebody else and go, she ain't even all that, so. Man, he ain't even all that. He's gay. So I said all of that to say that now what happens, this is going to be longer than 25 minutes. Now what happens when you get pushed to that point as a woman where you can't take it? You can't walk the way you walk. You can't sit the way you want to sit. You can't have children or not the way that you want to. You can't be in the hospital the way that you want to. You can't be in that relationship the way that you want to. You can't feel safe in your own body in a relationship walking down the street with that uncle the way that you want to. dress a certain way, talk a certain way, walk a certain way. It's an entirely different thing for a woman to step into a boardroom to make a presentation, to walk into her family's house, to dress the way that she wants to dress, to be an artist, to be seen on TV, to be seen in the media in relation to her own confidence, in relation to her own power, in relation to her own emotions than it is for a man. Now, I will say this once again, this is not an all thing. This is different for every single individual being. And I know, especially as someone who exists outside of these binary spectrums, especially for this is not an all thing for all women. This is not an all thing for all men. We're hitting the highlighting points. Personal philosophy, all these things come from the same place. Before we are men, before we are women, we are people, we are creation, we are one. Energies are energies. And energies won't lie. They'll evolve, they'll change. Some of them will be the same, but they won't lie. Unless the energy is a lie, right? But breaking it down to a 3D binary level, if we want to get out of all of that, of the wholeness of what I just said, of my own personal perspective, and break it down to just the constructs that are in place of male, woman, highlighting points, American history, and we break it down, small to paint a bigger picture of it all. The power comes from a different place. Having to step into your confidence, sorry, I keep looking over here, the camera's over here. Having to step into your confidence comes from a different place. The way that we see that rage come out of women when the woman who was burned at the stake for accused of being a witch, to the woman who is scared to go to the clinic in 2025, all that history, all that energy. So when that comes out of you, because you want to start being her, not the her that's on the TV, not the her that another man told you to be, not the her that other women have told you to be, because their minds have been colonized by other women and their minds have been colonized by men, and so cycle and vice versa. Not the energies that's been stuck or trapped in your lineage, not the energies that are doomed to repeat, because that's the cycle of nature and that's the natural way that things happen. That's how we evolve. That's how we go back to the beginning. But outside of all of that, you now want to be the her that is you. You now want to be the her that embraces you. You now want to be the her that sings, talks, acts, likes, blah, 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 that just has to exist. You may even want to be the her that doesn't come with the fact that you're a woman first, but that you're a human being. I don't know. There's an infinite amount of people who can see this, you know? But you want to be her. And the same goes for the him. The him that wants to be him. Not the him that your dad told you to do, not the him that can't be emotional, not the him that's scared to be feminine, not the him that's scared to be gay, not the him that's scared that of who has false ideology surrounding stability, not the him who is scared of professionalism, not the black boy him who is terrified and knows that he'll just get denied that job if he gets on camera or go to that interview without his locks freshly done, you know, or with piercings in his face. Not the him who's purposely treating women like trash because that's the ideology, that's the expectation from him, from around him and his buddies and his dad and what he's just picked up on the media. Not that him. And the list goes on. There's an infinite amount of things. Not the him who can sit right here and do what I'm doing, but the him that is you, authentically you, who defies all of the things that society, that other media, that other everything has told you about yourself and your own power, and what the ideas in your mind have to be in relation to your own power for you to believe that, be confident in that, step into that. You want to be that individual him. Now that you have an individual him and an individual her, now what does power look like? From the both of you as individuals and together, working together as society. What does power look like for you to walk in your own body and your own skin without the ideology, without the constraints of all the other hers and all the other hims that you've been colonized to be? That you have chosen to be. Because people choose these journeys. Once again, that's another spiritual that we could get, but we're not doing it right now. Right? But without all the other hims and without all the other hers, right? Without all of that, Now, what is your own personal power? What is your own belief and ideas about your own personal power and stepping into a room? Now, what does that woman look like when you put her on a screen? When you write a book? When you write a journal prompt? When you write an essay? When you paint her on a painting? What does that woman look like? Now, how is she different from the woman I described when I first started this video? What does he look like on a painting? I actually want to say this the exact same way, so insert exactly what I just said to that. But on a painting, on a journal prompt, on a film, you know? What does he look like in the exact same way, different from that? What does that woman look like now as the lead as that director, as the lead as that job? What does that man look like as the lead as that director, the lead as that job? As an artist, as a principal, as a baker, as a cousin, as a wife, as a husband, married? What does your own personal power and confidence, connection to the world, connection to your safety, what does that look like differently when you are an individual her and him without the constraints of all the other hers and hims of the energy that you experience? It's different. And it's different as an artist when you can understand it from a different perspective. When you're painting a female character, when you're painting a male character and you're putting them up on a screen, these perspectives are important. We need to break these things down. We need to understand things from a bigger picture, from a smaller picture, the whole picture. There's a difference, there's similarities, it's all the same, but it's very different. I'm not making that any more simpler for anybody watching this. You're more than welcome to ask me to in the comments. I would love to talk about this again. Absolutely love to. In a more specific way, because I said a lot in this video. I said a lot of different things, and it's only about to be a very short 40 minutes. So I could take out one tiny little sentence I said if that's what you would like me to do. And I can make a whole nother video just about that one sentence and condense it down a lot. Replay it if you need to. Anyways. I'm from the South. And I don't know if y'all ever had a hot sausage sandwich. And I don't mean like, you know, sausage that you can, like links. I don't mean breakfast sausage. I don't mean spicy linked sausage that you can like cut open, fry, and put on bread. No, old dirty Southern grandma, greasy hand, hot sausage sandwich. A patty, and it's hot sausage. It comes in a pack or a bucket that says hot sausage. That's it. No extra. Hot sausage in a bucket. Patties, little orange color. Fried on the grill, greasy. On your bread with your egg and your cheese and whatever else you want to put on your hot sausage. I don't know. You shouldn't be putting too much on your hot sausage. But that. I have some grits, hash brown. You can eat a hot sausage just as a hot sausage. You don't even need nothing. Put it on some old white bread. You even got to toast it if you don't want to. Anyways, good old Southern biscuit, you know. But think about that. I've been thinking about that. Power, genders, things of that nature. I'm very blessed and very grateful to say, and I don't say this to take away anybody's blessings of if you identify as one binary or one spectrum or one gender, you know, however you want to say it. But I'm very blessed and very grateful to say that I'm an individual who identifies as gender fluid and that I experience the energies of all types of people and all creation. That's a very big blessing to me, and I love it. I embrace it, and it helps me be authentic. It helps me be an artist. You know, power for me personally is very different than power for me used to be. And growing up, I had to evolve into, and I had to separate myself from other energies in every single way of life. If it's an aspect of life, yes. If it's monetary, yes. If it's physical, yes. If it's emotional, yes. If it's an aspect of life, yes. And the definitions associated to those things surrounding power on the outside of you and internally. They're not different, but you know. I had to evolve from what that meant for me and what I had to identify that as and what that belief in myself was. And then once you step outside of it, once you live through it, once you walk and experience it through it, you take a look at this road and you're like, wow, power. The concept of just men and women have been on my mind the last couple of days. Anyways, it's 39 minutes. I said I wouldn't go past 40. I could go 45. It's my channel. I can do whatever I want. I can sit here for an hour. I could just drink this water for the next 20 minutes and let y'all fast forward it, watch it, skip it, anything. But I won't. I want to have breakfast. I haven't eaten cereal in like a year, and so I think I'm gonna have some cereal this morning. Plus that non-sponsored, very generic black and white cookie that I just enjoyed, which was very delicious. I think I'm done with that actually. Think about it, and I encourage you, man, woman, scientist, grandfather, individual, gender fluid, non-binary. I encourage you, sentient being who's watching this right now, to ask yourself, what do you believe has more power than you or power over you? What triggers you into feeling powerless? Internally, the things that you won't even admit to yourself, and the things on the outside of you. What triggers that? And why? What have you seen? What have you heard? What have you done? What beliefs do you have about that? What did you watch your mother and father go through? Yeah, I'm going there. What did you read in the news today? What do you see when you look in the mirror that makes you have a distorted view or an idea or a perspective or a feeling, right? Whole other thing. Regarding power, personal power. If you're an artist and you're a creator, how does your own experience with that impact the way that you create and put things on a screen, write, journal when it comes to writing male characters, female characters, gender fluid characters, trans characters, and power, confidence, vulnerability? When I say power, I mean it all. I don't mean the things that make you feel powerful. I mean the things that exist as you are. Feelings, mental health, money, food, hungry, starving, the craziest, most chaotic things we'd experience as people, and the most beautiful, amazing things as if they're separate, right? I mean power as an existing being, not the things that your mind has been constrained to be power. And if you only have 5 or 10 words in your head when I said power, that question could have been for you. Anyways, I hope that you guys like this video and that you enjoyed it. I hope I said things that you can relate to or interpret. I won't force that upon you, but I hope that there were things here that you either related to or could understand. I hope that you were able to keep up with me. And, let me know if you have any comments or thoughts or anything at all. I love to talk to people. I love to talk to you guys. There may be another video coming today, or another little tiny little piece of something that'll be a piece of something that'll be happening soon. That's just been planting in my head this morning, sort of a spare of the moment thing. But I hope that all of you are well. Hope all of you are healthy. Get in your water. Hack, I'll share this with you. I'm comfortable sharing this with you. Extra hydration, you're extra dehydrated. Instead of buying really expensive things, I'm not a doctor. Instead of buying really expensive things at the store, extra hydration drinks if you can't get your hands on it. Some pink Himalayan salt, like this, literally. A couple of sprinkles of those in your water and mix it up. You have extra electrolytes, extra hydration, extra boost, extra energy. You can't taste it. It's Himalayan salt. You're not gargling like you have a bad toothache. You're not doing that. Just a little extra bitty little rocks in your drink. Extra little hack for anybody who needs that. And think about power. And go feel and go be powerful. It's Phoenix. Whatever. Bye.